The Galactic Academy floated in deep space like a shining metal city. It was the most respected training center in the galaxy. Young beings from many worlds came here to learn combat, strategy, engineering, and leadership. Every year, the strongest and smartest students were chosen to join its ranks. This year, something unusual happened. A small human girl named Ariel Stone arrived from Earth. When she stepped out of the shuttle, she looked calm and quiet. She carried only one small bag and walked with careful, steady steps. Her uniform was simple and fit loosely around her small frame. At first glance, she did not look like a warrior at all. Many alien cadets stood in the arrival hall, watching new students enter. Some were tall with tough skin like stone. Others had glowing patterns on their bodies or moved with fast, sharp motions. Most of them appeared physically strong. When they saw Ariel, they exchanged confused looks. "Is that the Earth cadet?" one cadet whispered. "She is so small," another replied. "Maybe Earth has no real fighters." A few students quietly laughed, but Ariel did not react. She kept walking until she reached the registration desk. Her expression was calm and focused. She spoke politely to the officer, completed her check-in, and moved toward the dorm area. Some cadets continued to watch her. They were curious but also amused. They believed that someone who looked so gentle could not match the strength of alien species known for power. Earth had joined the Galactic Alliance only recently, and many worlds still thought humans were weak because they lacked natural armor, energy abilities, or heavy muscles. But Ariel did not seem bothered by the whispers. Instead, she observed her surroundings carefully. She noticed the layouts, the training halls, and the different ways cadets moved. She had learned long ago that it was better to observe than to argue. After settling into her room, Ariel changed into her training uniform and walked to the main arena for orientation. The arena was huge, filled with advanced equipment and practice zones. Screens showed the schedule for the day: physical assessments, reaction tests, and basic sparring sessions. When the cadets gathered, the instructor arrived. He was a tall figure with silver skin and glowing blue eyes. His name was Commander Raccoon, a well-known combat master in the academy. He scanned the group with a strict, observant gaze. "Welcome, new cadets," he said. "Today, we will begin with basic skill evaluations. These tests are not to judge your worth, but to help us understand your level." He paused, then added, "You will work hard here. Remember, discipline is as important as strength." Most cadets nodded confidently. They were eager to show off their power. Ariel simply listened. The first test was a strength drill. Cadets had to lift weighted blocks and carry them across the arena. Many alien cadets easily carried heavy blocks. Some even picked two at a time. When Ariel's turn came, she lifted a smaller block with steady effort. She did not struggle, but she did not attempt to show off. She simply completed the task with proper form. Some cadets snickered softly. "She chose the smallest block," one said. "She knows she can't lift anything heavier," another added. Ariel heard them, but she stayed focused. She was not here to compete in displays of raw strength. She knew Earth humans were not the strongest species, but humans had their own strengths: discipline, adaptability, and incredible precision. The next test was speed and timing. Cadets had to hit moving targets that appeared randomly around them. When alien cadets took their turns, they struck with powerful, fast motions. Some hit many targets but lacked accuracy. They swung widely, relying on raw speed. Ariel stepped onto the platform. She took a slow breath before the targets lit up. Then she moved, not fast, but controlled. Every strike was small and precise. She hit fewer targets than some other cadets, but the ones she struck were hit perfectly in the center. Commander Raccoon watched her with a thoughtful expression. He noticed something many cadets did not. Her movements were efficient, and her eyes stayed focused the entire time. She did not rush. She controlled her timing. The next drill was sparring practice. Cadets were paired to test basic combat skill. It was not a full fight, only a practice to see how they moved. Ariel was matched with a tall cadet from a reptilian species. He was polite but clearly confident he would overwhelm her. When the drill began, he stepped forward quickly. Ariel stepped back with a small, neat motion. She kept her guard low, observing him. The reptilian cadet swung a light training strike. Ariel blocked it with minimal movement, redirecting the force rather than pushing against it. The cadet blinked, surprised. He struck again. She moved her arm in a soft circle, guiding his strike away. Commander Raccoon narrowed his eyes. He recognized the technique. It was a form of Earth martial arts, smooth, efficient, and designed to use an opponent's energy rather than oppose it. The drill ended, and the reptilian cadet bowed respectfully. "You move strangely," he said, "but it works." Ariel smiled politely. "Thank you." But other cadets nearby still whispered. "She barely attacked," one muttered. "She was just defending. That is not real fighting." "She is afraid to strike," another added. "Weak cadet." Ariel walked away without reacting. She had dealt with similar things before. People often judged what they did not understand. Later that day, the cadets moved to a lecture hall. Commander Raccoon stood at the front. "You will learn many fighting styles here," he said. "But remember, power alone cannot win every battle." Some cadets looked confused. Others ignored the statement entirely, believing their natural strength was enough. After the lecture, the commander approached Ariel. His voice was low and calm. "You practice Earth martial arts," he said. "Your movements are disciplined." Ariel bowed her head slightly. "Yes, Commander. I trained for many years." "You rely on timing rather than force," he observed. "Yes. My teachers said force is risky if not controlled." Raccoon gave a small nod of approval. He rarely praised students, but he respected discipline when he saw it. When the day ended, Ariel returned to her room. She stretched her arms and legs, then began practicing slow movements. Her training routine looked soft and peaceful, almost like a dance. But each motion hid purpose and control. Outside her door, 2 alien cadets passed by. They noticed her and whispered again. "She is so strange. She won't last long here." Their voices faded as they walked away. Ariel did not stop practicing. She kept breathing deeply, her motions steady and focused. She remembered something her Earth mentor once told her. "People may laugh at you today, but the moment real skill is needed, they will see the truth." She believed those words. The Galactic Academy was a place filled with powerful species and loud confidence. But Ariel did not need to shout. She did not need to prove herself with displays. She would wait for the moment where real ability, not appearance, would matter. Because deep inside, she knew a truth no one else here knew yet. She was not the weakest cadet. She was simply the most underestimated. And soon, the entire academy would learn that the quiet human girl from Earth had strength they could not measure with their usual tests. Not brute strength, not glowing energy, not size, but mastery. A strength that came from discipline, patience, observation, and perfect control. A strength that could defeat even the greatest fighter in seconds. The next morning at the Galactic Academy began with the usual energy. Cadets from many different worlds filled the training halls, the dining area, and the corridors. Some were excited for another day of drills, while others talked proudly about their homeworld combat traditions. Ariel Stone woke up early, long before most cadets. She rose from her bed, tied her hair neatly, and stretched her arms and shoulders. Her routine was simple and calm, focused on breathing and balance. After finishing her warm-up, she left her room quietly and walked to the outdoor practice deck. The deck had a wide glass barrier. showing the view of distant stars and glowing nebulae. The air felt cool, and the floor had a smooth metal surface perfect for training. Ariel stood alone on the deck and began practicing slow movements again, Earth martial arts forms that focused on control. She slid into each stance with smooth precision. Her motions were gentle, but every position was strong. Her eyes stayed calm, her breathing even and steady. To an untrained observer, she looked like she was performing a peaceful dance. But anyone who understood martial arts would see the hidden power. After a while, Commander Raccoon passed by the deck on his way to an early meeting. He paused quietly. He watched Ariel's movements without interrupting her. He noticed her footwork, her slow shifts in weight, and the accuracy of every line of motion. "She understands balance," he murmured to himself. "A skill many powerful fighters forget." He continued walking, leaving Ariel to her practice. Later that morning, the central training hall filled with cadets for the day's main schedule. Today was special because the instructors announced a new event, the Inter-Cadet Trial. This event was held only twice a year, and it was a chance for each world to show its skills. The trial was not a real tournament, but a demonstration of combat style and discipline. Still, many cadets treated it like a fierce competition. Commander Raccoon stood on the platform and addressed the group. In 2 days, each world may choose a representative to participate in the Inter-Cadet Trial. This event shows the diversity of fighting techniques across the galaxy. The hall buzzed with excitement. Many cadets whispered eagerly about who would be chosen. A cadet with metallic blue armor raised his hand. "Commander, will the Academy champion take part this year?" "Yes," Raccoon replied. "Torvak Dren will demonstrate once again." The hall grew louder. Torvak was the undefeated champion of the Academy. He came from a species known for incredible physical strength and solid natural armor. His presence alone inspired respect. Standing in the center, Ariel listened quietly, but she did not react. She knew about the Academy champion, but had never seen him fight. Raccoon continued. "Each world must choose a cadet to represent their species. The selected cadets will face the champion in controlled matches." Now the gossip truly exploded. Every planet wanted to look strong in front of the others. Many cadets believed the trial was a chance to prove superiority. Earth's group of cadets was small, only 3 students. 2 of them, a tall boy named Ethan and a girl named Mara, had some basic combat skill, but were not confident enough to volunteer. The Earth supervisor arrived a few minutes later. He was a calm, older man named Captain Hayes. He called the 3 Earth cadets to the side. "We must choose our representative," he said. "Earth is new to the Galactic Academy. A good performance will help our reputation." Ethan scratched his head nervously. "I am not ready for this. I might embarrass Earth." Mara shook her head quickly. "Me too. I cannot fight an Academy champion." Captain Hayes turned toward Ariel. "You have more training experience than your classmates," he said quietly. "Would you be willing to represent Earth?" Ethan and Mara looked shocked. "Ariel?" Ethan whispered. "But she is so small." "Can she even last 1 minute against Torvak?" Mara added. Captain Hayes smiled very slightly. "That is exactly why she should be the one." Ariel did not hesitate. "Yes, sir. I will represent Earth." News spread through the hall within minutes. Cadets from every world began whispering loudly. "Earth chose the smallest cadet?" They must be joking. Maybe Earth misunderstood the meaning of the event. "They are sending her to lose." Many laughed openly, not cruelly, but confidently. Ariel felt dozens of eyes on her. Some were curious. Some were amused. None were respectful. She did not respond to any of them. She simply bowed her head slightly and walked away to prepare for the next drill. In the afternoon, the cadets moved to the strategy room to study past trial matches. Screens showed recordings of Torvak Dren fighting previous representatives. Torvak was a huge figure, more than 2 meters tall with strong, thick plates of protective skin. His movements were heavy but controlled. Every strike he delivered looked powerful enough to break training equipment. Yet he never acted arrogant. He fought with respect and calm focus. But to most cadets watching the recordings, one thought came to mind. How will the Earth cadet survive this? Some cadets glanced at Ariel during the video. A few felt sorry for her. Many expected she would fall in a single strike. Some even predicted she would withdraw before the fight. One cadet, a tall insect-like student named Krital, leaned toward his friend and whispered, "Maybe the Earth girl will pretend to be sick before the day of the trial." His friend laughed loudly. "She would be smart to do that." Ariel heard them, but she ignored their words. She wrote notes on her datapad, analyzing Torvak's stance and timing. Commander Raccoon noticed her from across the room. He approached quietly and spoke in a calm voice. "You do not seem troubled by the comments of others." Ariel looked up. "No, Commander. They judge what they can see. But real strength is not always visible." Raccoon nodded slowly. "Good. Many fighters lose focus because of pride or fear. You have neither." He left her to continue studying, but he kept a thoughtful expression. He already suspected that Ariel had far more skill than others believed. After classes ended, some cadets stayed behind to socialize. They gathered in groups, sharing stories of battles, homeworld traditions, and training experiences. Ariel walked through the hall quietly, planning to return to her room. But as she passed one group of cadets, she heard her name. "That human is going to lose so quickly," one cadet said. "It will be embarrassing," another added. "Yes," a third said. "Torvak will win instantly." Ariel stopped walking. Then she stepped closer, bowed her head politely, and said, "Excuse me, I do not want to interrupt, but why are you so certain I will lose?" The group looked surprised. They did not expect her to respond. One cadet cleared his throat awkwardly. "Well, because Torvak is stronger." "Much stronger," another said. "You are small. Humans do not seem fit for heavy combat." A third added nervously, "Also, you move very slowly." Ariel nodded softly. "I see. Thank you for explaining." Then she walked away calmly. The cadets stared after her. One of them whispered, "She is strange." Another replied, "She is brave. I will give her that." That night, Ariel returned to the practice deck again. She stood alone under the dim lights and performed her slow movements once more. The stars beyond the glass barrier shone brightly. She practiced each stance with precision, knowing that soon she would face someone far stronger than her in physical power. But she was not afraid. Earth martial arts taught her that technique could overcome strength if used correctly. A voice came from behind. "You are working late." Ariel turned. It was Captain Hayes. "Yes," she said. "I want to prepare." He stepped beside her and looked at the stars. "The Academy doubts you. Many planets do, but I believe you are ready." Ariel lowered her gaze respectfully. "Thank you, sir." He added, "Just remember, you are not fighting to impress them. You are fighting to show them who humans are." Ariel nodded firmly. After he left, she resumed her practice. Her movements grew sharper, more focused. She imagined Torvak's stance, his charge, his heavy steps. She repeated counter techniques again and again. She whispered softly to herself, "Strength is not only in muscles, it is in control." Her calm voice echoed across the empty deck. Ariel knew that soon the entire Academy would watch her. They would expect her to fail. But she also knew something they did not. She had trained for moments exactly like this. She would not back down, she would not be shaken, and she would not let Earth be mocked. Not anymore. The day before the Inter-Cadet trial arrived with a tense atmosphere across the Galactic Academy. Cadets walked with excitement and nervous energy. The halls were louder than usual, filled with discussions about the upcoming matches. Most of those discussions centered around one name, Torvak Dren, the undefeated Academy champion. Even first-year students knew stories about him. Torvak belonged to a species called the Growlzor, known for natural armor plates and incredible physical power. Their warriors were honored across the galaxy for their discipline and strength. Torvak was considered one of the best among them, but to Ariel Stone, the small and calm Earth cadet, he was simply her next opponent. That morning, all cadets gathered in the Academy's main observation arena to witness a short demonstration by Torvak. The arena was enormous, with metal floors that could shift into different shapes for training. Hundreds of seats surrounded the central platform. Cadets filled the seats quickly. Some were so eager that they leaned forward before the event even began. The instructors arrived and signaled for silence. Commander Raccoon walked to the center stage. His calm voice echoed throughout the arena. As you all know, the Inter-Cadet trial will begin tomorrow. To prepare you, today the Academy champion will demonstrate controlled techniques. Excitement surged through the crowd. Torvak stepped onto the arena floor. He was huge, standing well over 2 meters tall, with strong arms and a broad chest covered in dark armor-like skin plates. His eyes glowed with a bright golden color, and his movements were heavy but smooth, like a trained fighter who understood his own power. Ariel watched from the third row. She studied every detail, his stance, how he balanced his weight, and how he shifted his body before moving. She held her notebook in her lap, quietly taking notes. Torvak bowed respectfully to Commander Raccoon, then looked around at the seated cadets. "I will demonstrate basic forms," he said in a deep, controlled voice. "These are not my strongest techniques, only simple ones for teaching." Even his simple movements impressed the crowd. Torvak struck the air with powerful blows. Every strike produced a loud sound as the air parted sharply. He moved forward with heavy steps. Yet his speed was surprising. The cadets gasped when he jumped across the stage and landed with force strong enough to shake the floor slightly. "He is amazing! Look at that power! No one can stand against him!" A few cadets glanced at Ariel with sympathetic expressions, as if already imagining her defeat. But Ariel's face remained calm. She continued writing in her notebook. Torvak demonstrated 10 basic stances, 5 defensive forms, and 3 offensive combinations. When he finished, he turned to Commander Raccoon again. Raccoon nodded. "Thank you, champion." Torvak stepped back and looked toward Ariel briefly. His eyes rested on her with a curious expression, not mocking, not confident, just thoughtful. Then he walked off the stage as the audience cheered. After the demonstration, cadets left the arena buzzing with excitement. That was just basic training for him. Imagine his advanced forms. Earth's representative is really in trouble. Ariel walked quietly through the crowd. Unlike the others, she was not excited or fearful. She was focused. Her mind replayed Torvak's movements. She understood what he did well and also what he did not do. He had strength, discipline, and skill. But Ariel noticed something important. Torvak relied on heavy motion, using strength as the foundation of every technique. If she could avoid that strength and disrupt his balance, she could create openings. Few cadets would believe that, but Ariel knew how martial arts worked. Strength was powerful, but only if it connected. She continued to the training deck to practice alone. Later in the afternoon, Ariel was studying Torvak's recorded matches in a digital training room. The holographic display projected past battles, and she could watch them from multiple angles. Suddenly, The doors opened, and someone entered. A tall figure stepped inside, Torvak himself. Ariel stood politely. "Hello." Torvak looked down at her, his golden eyes calm. He did not appear angry or proud. He spoke with respect. "You are the Earth representative," he said. "Yes," Ariel replied. Torvak studied her for a moment. He did not laugh or mock her like other cadets. Instead, he asked, "Why did your world choose you?" Ariel said simply, "Because I trained for many years." Torvak nodded. "I see. Some cadets underestimate you. I do not." That surprised her. "Why not?" Torvak pointed to her notebook. "You study technique closely. That is the mark of a real fighter." Ariel felt a small warmth in her chest. It was the first true respect she had received from another cadet. Torvak continued, "Tomorrow, when we face each other, I will not hold back. You should be ready." "I will," Ariel replied. Torvak stepped aside, allowing her to continue watching the recordings. Before leaving, he added one more thing. "You move with purpose. Many will learn from your example, whether you win or lose." Then he left the room. Ariel watched him go, feeling neither fear nor pressure. Instead, she felt motivated. Torvak respected her. That meant she had a duty to give her best performance. Meanwhile, in another part of the academy, groups of cadets were still talking about Ariel. A tall, silver-skinned cadet said, "I heard Torvak met her in the training room." "What? Why?" "Maybe he wants to warn her not to get hurt." Another cadet shook his head. "She is going to lose instantly. Why is she even trying?" A few cadets remained unsure. One said, "But she never looks scared. It's strange." Another replied, "Maybe she doesn't understand how strong Torvak is." They kept discussing, but none of them understood Ariel. They did not know what she was capable of. That evening, Commander Ra-Kun held a short meeting with the instructors. They discussed the upcoming trial, reviewing each representative's training records. When Ariel's name appeared, one instructor raised an eyebrow. "Is this correct? Earth is represented by a beginner?" Another instructor added, "She seems calm, but her physical scores are low compared to other species." Ra-Kun kept his expression steady. "Do not underestimate her. I have watched her closely. Her technique is advanced." The instructors exchanged doubtful looks. "But technique alone cannot stop the champion," one said. Ra-Kun replied quietly, "We will see." Later that night, Ariel returned to the outdoor deck again. The stars were bright, and the wide space was silent. She stood in the center and began her practice. This time her movements were faster. She practiced blocking heavy strikes, redirecting strong force, stepping around invisible opponents, and finding openings in large frames. Her breathing was controlled, her eyes sharp. The glass barrier reflected her silhouette, small, calm, and focused. A faint voice reached her from the doorway. "You are preparing well." Ariel turned. Commander Ra-Kun approached. "Thank you, Commander." He stepped closer, observing her stance. "You have a strong foundation in Earth martial arts," he said. "Your training focuses on precision and timing." Ariel nodded. "My teachers said that in many fights, control is more important than strength." Ra-Kun smiled slightly. "Very true." He circled her slowly, analyzing her posture and steps. "At the trial, Torvak will strike with great power. Your advantage is his size. He will need more time to adjust his weight when he moves." Ariel listened carefully. Ra-Kun continued. "Your goal is not to overpower him, it is to use his strength against him. His momentum can become your tool." Ariel bowed her head. "I understand." He added softly, "Do not focus on winning or losing. Focus on technique. If you do that, you will surprise everyone." Ariel took a slow breath. I will do my best." The commander left her to train, but he felt confident. He knew something the other instructors did not. Ariel Stone was not a weak cadet. She was a hidden expert. A few hours later, as the academy lights dimmed to night mode, Ariel finished her practice and walked back to her room. Inside her mind, she reviewed everything: Torvak's movements, her counter techniques, and the lessons from her mentor and Commander Raccoon. She sat on her bed, hands resting calmly in her lap. "Tomorrow," she whispered, "I will show them what Earth training really means." Her eyes stayed calm, but a quiet determination glowed within them. Tomorrow would be the day the entire academy saw the truth. The quiet human cadet was ready, and nothing, not mockery, not doubt, not fear, could shake her focus now. The next morning on the Aurelian Academy training world began with a strange silence. The air felt heavier, as if everyone sensed that something important was about to happen. Even the tall silver trees around the training grounds stood still, their shining leaves refusing to sway in the soft breeze. Mira walked across the open courtyard, her steps steady and her eyes calm. She no longer felt like the same girl who arrived on this world weeks ago, carrying only hope and a quiet dream to prove that Earth deserved respect. Now she walked with a presence that made others turn their heads in silence. Cadets from many alien species watched her pass. Some stared with curiosity, others with disbelief. A few still held doubt, but even they kept quiet. Mira had done something they all thought impossible. She had won against their strongest cadet with a single move. That one moment had changed everything. She felt none of the pride they expected from her. Instead, she felt a growing determination. Her victory over Kale was only the beginning. The real trial was still ahead. Today she would face the grand challenge, a trial designed for elite cadets only. It was a test that even many top-ranking students feared. Mira had been invited after a long debate between the masters. Some believed she deserved a place. Others believed she was not ready. But Mira needed this test. If she passed, the entire galaxy would see that Earth was more than a forgotten world. As she reached the entrance to the training arena, she saw Kale standing in front of her. He looked different. The usual sharp expression was gone. His eyes were calm and honest. "Mira," he said quietly, "I have trained all my life. I have never lost so quickly, but I am not angry. I only want to understand. How did you do it?" Mira paused. She remembered how he had mocked her on the first day, how his words had cut her deeply. But now he stood before her not as a rival, not as the champion who used to laugh at Earth, but as a student who wanted to learn. She spoke gently. "I did not win because I am better than you. I won because I learned to use what I have. My strength is not big, but I know how to use balance. I use focus. I use timing. These things do not depend on power." Kyle listened seriously. "But you moved like you already knew what I would do," he said. "You reacted before I completed my strike." "That is because you follow a pattern," she replied. "You trained in one way since childhood. It made you strong, but also predictable." Kyle lowered his head with respect. "Thank you." Then he took a deep breath. "The grand challenge is dangerous. It adjusts to your skill level. It will not be easy, even for someone like you." "I know," Mira said softly, "but I must try." Kyle stepped aside and opened the door. "Then I wish you good fortune. I hope you succeed. Earth deserves at least one voice that others cannot ignore." Mira smiled gratefully and walked inside. Inside the Grand Challenge Hall, the hall was enormous, larger than any stadium on Earth. The floor was made of shifting metal plates that hummed softly under her feet. The ceiling glowed with a pale golden light, and in the center stood the trial core, a floating metallic sphere covered in glowing lines. Master Orion waited near the control panel, his long robe sweeping the ground gently, his 4 eyes focused on Mira with a calm, serious expression. "You came," he said. "I am ready," Mira replied. The master studied her with a thoughtful look. "Many doubted you. I doubted you as well. But after yesterday, I see something different in you. Something rare." Mira didn't speak. She simply bowed her head with respect. "The grand challenge," Orion continued, "is not like any match you've fought. It reads your moves, it adapts, it becomes your perfect opponent." "That is why I must face it," Mira said. "I need to know how far I can go." Orion pressed his hand to the sphere. "Then let the trial begin." The trial starts. The metal plates under Mira's feet shifted with a deep rumble. The hall changed shape, forming wide platforms and rising pillars. Something began to form in the center, a figure built from hard light, glowing with white and blue energy. It was tall, strong, fast-looking. Its shape was not human, but its stance was the stance of a trained fighter. Mira breathed steadily and stepped forward. The figure struck first. It moved like lightning. Its arm swung in a sweeping arc aimed at her shoulder. Mira barely slipped under it. The air rushed past her ear. She lowered her center of gravity and moved in a circle. Then she struck the figure's side with a fast elbow. The figure did not move. Her hit had no effect. The trial adjusted itself. The figure mirrored her movement and attacked again, faster than before. Mira dodged twice, but the third hit grazed her arm. A sharp spark burned the skin lightly. Pain shot through her, but she kept her balance. She could not win with strength. She needed a strategy. She watched the figure's stance. She watched its timing. She watched its breathing-like rhythm. Slowly, she began to see a pattern. When the figure stepped with its right foot, its upper frame dipped a tiny bit. When it prepared a strike, its energy lines brightened at the joints. When it moved back, the glow dimmed. Mira narrowed her eyes. She waited. She watched. And when the right foot moved again, she acted. She stepped into the figure's attack instead of away from it. Her hand pushed its elbow slightly off course, while her foot tapped the back of its leg at the exact moment its balance shifted. The figure stumbled. It didn't fall. It recovered instantly. But Mira had proved she could disrupt its rhythm. The figure attacked again, now adjusting to her new tactic. The trial grew harder. The strikes were faster now, almost too fast to follow. Mira felt the pressure building. Beads of sweat formed on her forehead, her arms stung, her legs trembled from rapid movement. But she kept moving. Every dodge, every shift of her foot, every turn of her wrist became cleaner and sharper. The figure was forcing her to grow in real time. Minutes passed. Then more. She could no longer count them. All she knew was the motion, the rhythm, the pressure. And somewhere inside that pressure, she found a calm space. She started seeing paths she had never seen before, openings that lasted only half a heartbeat, angles that allowed small touches of force to become powerful leverage. A new clarity filled her mind. She moved, once, twice, 3 times, each motion faster than the last. She shifted her weight and felt the energy of the figure turning against itself. Then she saw the final opening. The figure stepped forward for a heavy strike. Mira moved like a whisper. Her foot hooked its forward leg. Her shoulder tapped its chest. Her hand pushed the back of its arm. 3 small movements. Perfect timing. The figure collapsed onto one knee and froze. The glowing lines dimmed. Master Orion's voice echoed through the hall. "Enough! The trial ends." The light figure dissolved into sparks. The metal plates under Mira's feet returned to a smooth floor. The hall became silent again. Mira stood still, breathing hard but steady. Sweat covered her face, and her arm hurt, but she remained strong. Master Orion approached her slowly. He looked at her not with surprise, but with deep respect. "You have passed," he said simply. Not because you are the strongest, but because you understand yourself better than anyone else here." Mira bowed her head. "This is only the beginning," he added. "You will face greater challenges soon, but today you have shown the Academy, and perhaps the galaxy, that Earth cannot be ignored." Mira lifted her head. Her eyes were calm, confident, and full of purpose. She had risen above every limit placed on her, and she was ready for whatever came next. The sun on the Aurelian training world rose slowly, casting soft gold light across the Academy grounds. The sky shimmered with faint colors from distant nebula streams, giving the day a strange, peaceful glow. It was the kind of morning that felt quiet before something important happened. Mira stood near the balcony of the dorm tower, looking at the vast academy below. Students trained on the open fields, glowing drones zipped through the air, and instructors walked between buildings with calm, focused steps. Everything looked normal, but today was not a normal day. Today was the Galactic Cadet exhibition, a ceremony where the strongest cadets from many worlds showed their skills before ambassadors, masters, and high-ranking officials. It was not a battle, but a display of strength, discipline, and honor. But this year, something unusual happened. For the first time in Academy history, a cadet from a non-elite world, Mira of Earth, had been invited to demonstrate her abilities on the exhibition floor. She felt nervous, but she also felt ready. After passing the grand challenge, everything around her changed. Cadets who once laughed now offered respectful nods. Instructors spoke to her with new interest. Even the Academy's leadership sent her a message saying that they were curious to see where her potential may lead. She still felt like the same girl from Earth, but everyone now looked at her differently. Mira took a deep breath. The day had come to show what Earth could do. A message arrives. As she prepared to leave the balcony, she heard footsteps behind her. When she turned, she saw Kale standing there, dressed in his formal academy uniform. It looked different on him, less prideful, more sincere. "Mira," he said, "they're calling us to the hall. The exhibition starts soon." She nodded. "I'm ready." Kyle hesitated, then spoke again. "I want to say, I'm proud that you're representing our academy today. And I'm sorry for how I acted before." Mira smiled softly. "It's in the past now." Kale let out a small breath of relief. "Good. Because today you're not the weakest cadet. You are the one everyone is talking about." Mira chuckled gently. "That's still strange to hear." Kale glanced at her seriously. "Strange or not, you earned it." They walked side by side toward the main hall. The exhibition begins. The exhibition area was enormous, built like a stadium with floating platforms and glowing display screens. Thousands of spectators filled the seats, ambassadors from distant systems, academy masters, instructors, and cadets from dozens of species. When Mira stepped inside, whispers spread across the hall. That's the human. She passed the grand challenge? She defeated their champion? Is she really that skilled? Mira heard them, but she kept her eyes forward. A silver platform rose at the center of the arena. Master Orion stood upon it, his robe glowing faintly. "Today," he announced, "our finest cadets will demonstrate their progress. Strength, clarity, discipline, these qualities shape the future of the galaxy." His voice echoed beautifully through the hall. "Each cadet will perform alone, without aid," he continued. "No battle, no rivalry, only display of pure skill." One by one, cadets stepped forward to perform. Some showcased complex martial sequences, others created energy shields or manipulated gravity fields. A few displayed their weapon mastery. Every performance was impressive, but the audience kept whispering, waiting for the human girl from Earth. Mira's moment. After the fourth performance ended, Master Orion raised his hand. "Next," he said, "Cadet Mira of Earth." The hall went silent. Mira stepped onto the platform. Her heart beat fast, but her face stayed calm. She had practiced until her muscles knew every motion without thinking. She took her place in the center. A soft ring echoed through the hall, the signal to begin. Mira inhaled deeply, centering herself. Then she moved. At first, her movements were slow and graceful, like flowing water. She shifted her weight smoothly, stepping lightly, forming the basic patterns of her Earth martial training. The crowd watched quietly. Then her speed increased, her steps became sharp, her arms moved in quick arcs, every kick, turn, and strike formed perfect lines of motion. She moved with balance, timing, and control. Nothing wasted, nothing rushed. She used no power, no energy fields, no special weapons, just pure skill. At first, some spectators didn't understand what made it impressive, but as the sequence grew more complex, more precise, a change swept through the hall. People leaned forward. Whispers turned into silence. Every motion Mira made connected perfectly to the next. Her body moved like a rhythm only she could hear. Then she demonstrated the key technique she used against Kyle, the move that shocked the Academy. 3 fast steps, a shift of weight. A twist of the wrist, a downward motion of the shoulder. The crowd gasped as they recognized the precision and timing of the motion, even without an opponent. She moved again. This time she demonstrated the technique she used in the Grand Challenge, the combination of steps that brought down the energy figure. Her arms cut through the air. Her feet tapped the ground with perfect timing. Her body lowered gracefully into a balanced stance. Then she stood still, calm, clear, complete. The hall remained silent for a moment. Then applause rose like thunder. Cadets stood. Instructors nodded with pride. Even high-ranking officials clapped with genuine respect. Mira bowed deeply to the audience. She had done it. She had shown them all what Earth could do. Unexpected recognition. After the exhibition ended, the cadets gathered around. Some wanted to congratulate her. Others wanted to ask how she learned such clear techniques without enhanced training. A few simply looked at her with growing admiration. Master Orion approached her gently. "Mira," he said, "your performance carried something rare. Clarity. Many have strength, some have speed, but you have understanding. That makes you special." She lowered her head humbly. "Thank you, Master." Orion looked at her with warm eyes. "You are ready for the next step." She blinked. "Next step?" He nodded. "The Academy will send a group to the annual Inter-Academy meeting on the capital world. They need a cadet who can represent calm, discipline, and excellence. I want you to be one of them." Mira felt her breath catch. The capital world was the center of the galaxy's decisions. Only the elite were ever invited there. "You want me?" she asked quietly. "Yes," Orion replied. "You have earned it." Kale stepped forward. "I support the decision," he said sincerely. "She represents us better than anyone." Other cadets nodded. For the first time since her arrival, Mira felt truly accepted. A new beginning. That evening, Mira stood once more on the balcony of the dorm tower. The sky burned with soft red and blue colors as distant stars lit the horizon. She closed her eyes and breathed the cool air deeply. She had come so far from the girl who was once mocked as the weakest cadet from Earth. Now she stood as someone the galaxy noticed. Her journey was only beginning. There would be harder tests, bigger challenges, and new worlds to face. But she was ready, because her strength did not come from power. It came from balance, from patience, from clarity, and from the quiet belief that even the smallest world can create a champion. Mira opened her eyes and smiled softly at the stars. Earth had a voice now, and she would carry it far.